Hey everyone, Siri here, and welcome back to another week of not-so-light season offense matches. Hell's been a long-time favorite of mine, even if the slow march of bolt tower upgrades eventually pushed her out of being a consistent AR defense option. I've always had a lot of fun using her in non-AR content, since her weapon's absurdly strong in player hands, even with its weaknesses. Using her on offense has been something I've thought about for quite a while, and this week I decided to finally go ahead and try it. This first team is pretty similar to my usual 4-unit Hell squad. Hell's base kit is still very effective, especially with Mystic Boost giving her easy access to an infinite miracle loop. Using the miracle special also lets her cheat death against magic users that might normally threaten her, especially with guard bearing and some pulses from Raphael and Erica. Eliwood being in season this week was a happy coincidence, since he's also the 4th member of Hell's usual squad. Together with Erica's speed opening, he offers Hell cross-map access to an extra 12 attack, speed, and defense, along with a fun bit of Summoner Duels tech and Pulse Tie that can help disable any infantry pulse setups. The other Hell team I used this week let her show off an alternative skill set. The combination of attack speed unity and still close turns Hell into a powerful melee specialist, especially against dark defenses using Note's Menace, or Bright Shrine. Not having to worry about mages also means that she can use a damaging special instead of Miracle, and I'm still a bit annoyed that she can't use Vital Astra. Fjorm, as usual, is a fantastic far-save option. Giving her Deflect Magic is a great way to shrug off the more common multi-hit threats, and gets to do even more work against Catria setups. I decided on Byleth as the support option in this team. While her drive tempo isn't quite as universally powerful as the null follow-up version that male Byleth brings, she was in season this week and he wasn't. It does have a valuable upside in letting Fjorm ignore enemy guard effects though, and combos really well with Ash's Ruse, along with Fjorm's stance, to completely deny enemy specials. As fun as it was to use Hell on offense, using her does have a significant impact on lift gained per match. Each match I used her effectively cost me 60 lift, so I ended up balancing the score out with a more normal team for 2 of the matches this week. Claude was an in-season bonus this week as well, and, as usual, is an extremely powerful offense carry. The combination of null follow-up in his weapon and Fallen Star's damage reduction lets him cut through nearly any opponent he attacks, and being able to apply gravity at the same time lets him control the battlefield really easily. Catria is a great support for him, giving him enough firepower to demolish even the toughest opponents. The brave hits are a good way to let him handle opponents like Duo Chrom, who might give him trouble if given a chance to counterattack. The extra mobility works really well with Ash too, giving the team easy access to just about any point on any defense layout. Now that we've gone over the teams, let's get to the first match.
My turn?
This match will be a fun way to start the week, mostly just because it's going to give Hell a chance to tank this plus 10 Bramimond. He's almost maxed out, only missing a couple of flowers and a floret, and even though the team is only using 6 units, he's still a pretty reasonable threat. He's also being backed up by this plus 5 bonus week Hell and a brave Edelgard and a far save Hector, along with this very impressive Chrom over here in the corner. Impact and Guard is a nice way to help him deal with any enemy Fjorms, even if it's not helping him to be boxed in like this. Having the Edelgard behind him does make it a little trickier to just break a structure and attack into him, since, well, then Edelgard can get onto you, but having a Fury Seal is a very odd choice for her, and almost completely cancels out the healing that she has from Armored Wall, so even if she's running Noontime, it's less durable than she usually is. We should just be able to start cleaning things up right away here, and not expecting Hell to have too many problems thanks to the pre-charges on Miracle.
Take my hand.
To winter.
And we should be able to start clearing our way in towards the rest of this pretty quickly. We are taking a bit of a penalty from this flyer school, but Bramimond isn't going to be able to knock Hell out here, since, well, the first hit runs into guard bearing,
I will crush you.
and the second hit runs straight into a Miracle. Nothing else can reach us here, especially without a dancer. So, everything's alright. from here, we're just going to heal Hel a little bit and make sure that she can tank this Edelgard
Lord,
once
ask her
Hector
guidance.
or Hel move forward.
What's your plan?
And we'll just continue moving everybody forward and clearing out some
I
structures
bestow
along the
my
way.
blessing.
Adel moves in. Actually didn't need to heal Hel there, thinking about it.
No mercy.
I'm not actually too used to using guard bearing on her. I usually have Mystic Boost in the B slot, so it is nice to have that extra insurance. So, from here we're just going to have Hel move in here and check if this is a real bolt trap, which it is. That's fine.
Truly?
And what we can do after that is reposition Erica forwards
To winter.
and heal Hel to make sure that she has her miracle back online,
It will be done.
and then just continue
way?
moving around the map.
Let's see now.
Hel can do a lot of damage to herself, but the defending Hel has a significant advantage here, and doesn't have too many problems knocking the other one out. And, well, Hector has the curse of a triangle disadvantage, and his entire weapon being offline because Hel has taken damage. From here, we can start opening up this corner
Death comes.
and dealing with this Chrom. We're actually going to let Hel tank him, mostly for fun.
Like this.
And by opening things up just a little bit, we should be able to force Edelgard back another tile and then let Chrom attack Hel.
I do not object.
My turn?
That's a hope, at least. Oh, never mind. I guess Edelgard gets to attack. That's a shame. She wouldn't actually knock the Chrom out in one combat here. But it'll be fun to let her do it anyway.
I bestow
So from
my
here we can
blessing.
just start picking up beacon pots and giving Chrom an opportunity to actually attack Hel.
Take my hand.
A good day to die.
There we go.
Lord, ask her guide us.
And since we already found the real bolt trap, we can just move Erica over here and be completely safe. Chrom does quite a bit of damage, especially with this Deadeye, but thanks to Miracle,
A gift for you.
well, her built-in Miracle in this case, she really doesn't care. And from here we can just close things out. That was a fun first match for her. We didn't get a 7-unit team, but still fun to see her tank plus 10 Bramimond.
Ready or not, here it comes.
This match is one that I honestly could have used Hel for. It's not terribly threatening, but that's part of the reason she's not in this match. I am still trying to balance the lift gain out for the week so that I still make it into the top 3,000. And, well, I'll probably need to do at least 2 Claude matches this week just to be safe about it. It's a fairly basic defense here with a front line of bulky armors and a Brave Marth, with a Fatal Guard in the corner and a couple of mythics to boost stats. The saves do help keep things safe, at least in this front area, and it can be pretty difficult to actually break through Idun and Fjorm unless you've got some pretty specific units to help handle them. And this Marth isn't a joke either. He can be very hard to handle once his weapon comes online. Unfortunately for them, we're not really planning to give them that chance. And we should be able to get things started on the first turn and keep right on moving from there.
Lord, ask
We'll
her
start
guide
just
us.
by having Ashe jump up and reposition Catria forward, and Claude can use that position to jump all the way onto this trap and knock out Fjorm. Even though it's a real trap, it doesn't actually affect Claude since he has too much health. And from there, we're going to Dance Ashe, have Catria break this, and Kanto her way down here, have Peony jump up and dance Claude, and
Truly?
Ashe can move here and break the statue of herself. and then Claude will move over and take down Narf. And
Like
we'll just
this.
move over this way and wait. We're out of their range, so the safety fence kicks in here and nothing much happens.
I
So
do
now
not
we
object.
can start breaking these back structures and working on the rest of their team.
Let's
Ash
go.
opening this up lets Claude move over and knock out Triandra, even though he's panicked and debuffed by the Flyer School. It's not going to save Triandra from getting one-shotted by an archer. Katria
by
can
his
move up
side.
here and break this before staying in place.
It
We'll
will be
smite
done.
the normal peony over to
Good
let her
morning.
jump up here and dance Claude,
What's this?
which lets him move up and knock out Hector.
I won't back down.
A
And then
new
we'll dance him one
dawn.
more time,
Sure thing.
let him move over here, and take down Idun. And from here, well, their Edelgard is boxed in the corner, so she's not going to do anything to us. And Note is gravitied, so she can't do anything to us either.
Let's go.
And from there, it's pretty simple for Claude to pick up Note.
Ha!
Wait
Then we'll
for
have
me.
Katria move in and pick one of the pots for us.
Ready.
We'll dance Claude one more time.
What's
Let
this?
him run over here to pick up the second Aether pot,
My warmest
and
greetings.
dance him again.
Truly?
Move Ash forwards, which lets
Let's
him
go.
reach this tile, and knock out Edelgard.
Ha!
So, nice clean Claude clear. Let's see what we get next.
Death comes.
This match will be a fun return to Hell for the week. They've got a variety of more rarely seen threats on their team, including this Vantage Palla, who's actually a bit of a neat trap when combined with these traps. This one's pretty easy to test, and I think it's actually the real trap, since if you step on it and it activates, it sets Palla directly into Vantage range and out of range of the healing tower, which makes it a lot harder to engage on her with any kind of Gale Force or hit and run approach. They're also screening their team with a near save Hector, who's got a pretty unique build here with a deflect melee and bolt fighter. And deflect melee is a nice way to help him survive against null follow-up opponents, or just brave attacks like any enemy Pallas that come cruising through. And this Robin's a very nice backup, and not someone I've seen too much of on defenses yet. I do think her weapon's a fantastic support tool for a defense team, thanks to the benefits it gives to all of her allies. And the 3-range Rain makes it pretty easy for her to support her allies even from the backline. Erica, meanwhile, is a very spooky melee threat to deal with, and Lysithea is her ranged counterpart for the team. It is a little odd to see them replace her normal C feud with Joint Drive Attack. I imagine they got both of these from a duo Corin, since there are 2 colorless mythics in this season to potentially neutralize with that skill. Overall, even without a dancer, I do think this is a pretty solid defense team and has a few different tricks to it that can catch people off guard. But I don't think that Hell is going to have too many problems with this. It should be pretty easy for her to just close things out. Well, with Fjorm backing her up on this one. I think it would have been doable for her to solo this, thanks to Guard Bearing cancelling out the major damage impact from Lysithea. But being able to cancel out 2 different menace skills in one turn is a little too much of a good time to pass up.
Truly?
So we'll start on the first turn here just by rallying Hell, and letting her jump all the way up here to intercept things and start the fight. I'm not breaking this Flyer School since it'll actually help buff Hell up for turns after Erica and Note are down for the count.
Ready.
And from here, we'll just dance Ash,
Lady
let
Nifl.
Fjorm swap Ash forwards,
I
and
do
have
not
Fjorm
object.
rally Ash as well.
Are you sure?
Then Byleth and
I
Milla
bestow
are
my
just going to work their
blessing.
way up towards this pot in the top left. From here, I'm not quite sure who's going to attack first. It's Note. But it's not really going to matter. Note and Erica get shut down really hard by the combination of Unity and Dull Close, which makes it very easy for Hell to just
Accept your death.
wipe them both out. Lysithea moves in next. She does a bit more damage than Robin does. But it doesn't matter much, since Furon's going to be able to shrug both of them off pretty easily. And actually just end up healing straight back to full health in the process. And Hector and Hell can't reach us, and Apollo can't get danced this turn, so that's all there is. From here we are going to need to step a little bit carefully so that we don't end the match before we get both of these Aether pods. But we should be able to have Hell intercept her alter ego on the defense team and Paula at the same time this turn.
Ask her guide us.
I am going to rally her here. Even though she's going to get hit by the Panic Miner, it doesn't matter too much since she has Unity and gets to keep those buffs anyway.
Like
So we'll
this.
just have everybody else move in behind her
Yes?
and wait another turn before we close things out. I actually did mean to have Byleth break one of the pots here, but it's not too big a deal.
Accept your death.
And Paula's not too big a deal either, since Mystic Boost disables her adaptive damage and forces her to target Hell's much higher defense stat.
Death.
Impact does keep their Hell alive for one turn, but without a Mystic Boost or being in range of this healing tower, she's not going to last much longer.
Leave
I'll
it
just
to me.
have Byleth move up and snag this Aether pot.
I do not object.
Ash can move over here and open this up, which lets Fionn jump past her and break this Aether pot.
A good day
Then
to
Hell
die.
can knock Hector out with a Luna.
Accept your death.
She would have been able to handle him even more easily in the enemy phase, since it would have turned his weapon
Good
offline,
morning.
but
Ah, yes.
attacking into her works too. And down goes their Hell. That was a fun one.
I do.
This match will be an interesting one. It's been a little while since I saw a Seekerd with 2 notes backing him up. In-season Seekerd too, and an in-season remixed Gunther to back him up. This setup's always very threatening to handle, especially if you're not using a Farsafe armor, since these cavalry can reach basically any tile on the map already, and once Seekerd attacks with his pre-charged Holy Knight aura, they can reach any tile on the map. Even with a Farsafe tank, it can be tricky to handle this trio of threats too, thanks to the full color coverage and their various ways to deal with any safe tanks they run into, thanks to a wind sweep from Selena, the raw damage output that a Plegian Blizzard provides Gunthro, and the damage reduction piercing of Leaf. The melee side isn't something you can ignore either, since there's a pretty good chance that Hell can reach you as well in this first round of combat if you tank from the right spot. She can actually get up to these tiles thanks to the notes extending her range beyond just the Holy Knight Aura's bonus, and tanking Seekerd, Note, and Hell in one turn can be a little bit much for a melee tank to handle. I was actually thinking about using Hell for this match too, but unfortunately I think this Note would be able to do 1 point of damage to her on the first turn, which means that this wouldn't be as clean as I'd like. And this ends up being a much cleaner match for Claude to handle. Even though this trap in particular is very annoying for the approach I have in mind, and I'm going to end up actually taking advantage of Claude's bonus weak
Let's go.
stats, which gives him more than enough health to actually take the damage from a max level bolt trap, even if this is a max level bolt trap,
Like this.
and still be in the health threshold for his weapon to be online.
Sure thing.
We're just going to get things going right away here, and oh, It looks like it was a fake after all. Well, that makes things much easier for me. Since now we can just dance him once,
What's this?
pick off the second note,
Ha!
and gravity almost their entire team, which dramatically limits their threat range here, and makes sure that we actually get an easy safe defense activation for this next turn. And then we can just dance Claude again, thanks to Ash,
Sure thing.
and pick off this Selena.
Hold a grudge if you must.
And now that we've strafed their entire front line, the gravity makes sure that they have no threat range at all to work with. Then from there, we'll just use some more guidance shenanigans to reposition Peony to the right, and have Catria jump up here to enable triangle attacks for the following turn. Nope. Safe defense turns their turn offline, and now we're just going to move in and start cleaning up the rest of this. We'll have Ash move over here to enable triangle attacks for Claude and have him start with gun throw. Then we'll dance him. We'll have Catria jump here next, and oh, it is a fake trap. It's
What's
fine.
this?
She was mostly going over here to provide Claude with a goat buff to let him one-shot the sleeve.
Ha!
And from there, we can dance him. This is a safe tile for Peony to be, since Hell is once again
Sure thing.
gravitied. And then we can drill our way through the Seeker. Even with all of this damage reduction,
Hold a grudge if
he's
you
not
must.
going to survive this. And then Hell's the last one on the field. And since she can't reach us there, it's very easy for us to
Let's go.
pick up one pot,
Good morning.
dance Claude,
Sure thing.
grab the second pot,
On the right
dance him one more time,
What's this?
and let him close out the match.
Huh.
The guard bearing does actually let Hell
Ready or not? Here it
get a
comes.
counterattack in here, but
I am death itself.
sadly she runs right into Fallen Star, and, well, he can tank that pretty easily.
Death comes.
This match will be an interesting one. It's a bit of a step down from some of the others, since there aren't any mythics boosting this team, which also means that they, in spite of some very high investment units, lose a lot of lift if this doesn't succeed. This Corrin in particular is actually very neat to see. It's rare to see a fallen male Corrin that's this highly invested. They do have some pretty potent threats on their team with, well, the Corrin and this Marth, and the Ninja Corrin and Selena, but a lot of the outright threat is taken away since both Corrin and Edelgard are stuck in their respective corners, and as long as you can handle these 4 units on their own, these 2 can be dealt with at your own pace later on. It should make things pretty easy for us to handle here. I'm not expecting to have any problems with this, and I should be able to get things going right away. I'll start by moving Ash up here and then just
Death
letting Hell work past her and see if we can break this score. It's a real trap, that's okay. That means we don't have to worry about finding it later.
Yes?
And then we can just start moving everybody
I
else into
bestow my
position
blessing.
to keep Hell safe from the
Good
Selena.
morning. Lady Niffle.
She's going to take a bit of damage here from the pre-combat AoE, but it shouldn't be enough to drop Hell to 1 hit point, and even if it did, Marth isn't going to be able to reach us this turn.
Leave it to me.
Helena goes first, as expected, but she can't actually drop Hell into being worried about Marth. And well, Fjorm's not going to have any problems shrugging this off and knocking her out on the counterattack. Corrin isn't going to have a good time here either, thanks to Deflect Magic. And then Azura should just start patching Fjorm back up towards full health. And with all the ranged out of the way, the rest of this should be a pretty clean sweep for Hell. We'll start by having Mila move forwards and break this, and since we found the real gravity trap last turn, we can just have Hell move in and knock out Marth.
Death. Accept your death.
And we'll just continue moving forwards from there. We're going to move into Edelgard first, since she's guarding these Aether pots, and
I'll protect
knocking
you.
her out makes it a lot easier to reach those later.
It is
And we'll have Byleth and
Truly?
Ash work forwards to help support for next turn.
I do not
Here
attack.
we'll actually get to see
A good
Hell's
day to
arena
die.
special in action. I
Are
end
you
up
sure?
doing this quite a bit during the
Maybe this
non-real
way.
arena matches during the course of a week. And it's always fun to watch Hell just sort of demolish Edelgard, since, well, unless Edelgard has Fatal Smoke, she can never actually kill Hell.
I am absolute. Accept your death.
And down she goes. We don't usually get any specials against her, but Byleth is really good at punching through special fighter effects. And then from there we can just have Hell jump over Ash and open up the way towards
Master
Chrom.
guide us.
Rally her again,
Leave it to me.
have Byleth pick up the second Ether
Good
pot,
morning.
and move Peony forward to support her, and let her close out the match. And down he goes.
I bestow my blessing.
This match will be another interesting one. This one's got some pretty highly invested units, including this Inns, who's very nearly maxed out. The impact and flow will make him very hard to actually handle, thanks to honestly being really bulky thanks to 2 defense boosting mythics, and also just having more than enough speed to speed check most of his opponents. It also helps that he's a 7th slot unit and can always clear his own debuffs off before getting danced by Azura for an extra +6 to stats. And this Brady with an odd recovery 1 and a Tannin Baton can be a major complication as well. While odd recovery doesn't have as much of an impact thanks to the safety fence now, it can still force awkward situations past turn 2. And this Tannin Baton makes things a lot trickier to tank from any tile that he's in range of, while also making it very tricky to Gale Force this team properly thanks to giving guard to most of the front line. The Korin and the Leaf are also pretty significant threats, and do a lot of work for backing up Inns as a 3-punch ranged squad. And the guidance on Hell helps complete this rally trap thanks to giving her the option to rally from this tile after Azura dances Inns, which gives him access to both of these starting tiles. It's a pretty neat defense, and I'm looking forward to picking it apart. Even if Hell's not going to get too many chances to shine immediately, she should have some fun moments after the dust has settled. I'm going to actually wait a turn here before we start this. I'd like to avoid the odd recovery, mostly because I want to isolate this rally from note. I'm not too worried about Azura's dance, it shouldn't actually activate, since Chrom should be able to bait her pretty handily.
Like this.
So we'll move Mila here and isolate note for next turn, and
Death
open up
comes.
a couple of
Are
structures.
you sure?
Byleth is actually going to have a very fun chance to shine here too, thanks to neutralizing the effects of this Tannin Baton. And we'll just say go. Now that we don't have to worry about odd recovery, and the rally's not a problem either,
Truly?
I'll just have Ash rally fuel. Mostly just to help soften Leaf up and make him easier to handle.
A good day
Hell
to
can hold
die.
on forward and test this Bolt Trap. It's real. It's fine, even if it was 50 damage, she's not going to be in any trouble here, since there aren't any Fatal Smokes on this team, and nothing here is actually going to be able to double her. We'll
Lady
just move
Niffle.
Chrom here,
Ready.
have Peony Dance health for some extra stats across the board,
I
and we'll
bestow my
swing dash over
blessing.
to the right to give us better access to these Aether pods for next turn. From here, that should be pretty straightforward down the health chain.
Death.
Starting off with a hell fight.
Accept your death.
That our hell is definitely coming out on top with. And then Fury gets to do her thing. Leaf can't really punch through the ice mirror, and well, we can just clobber him thanks to the reflective damage. And that extra damage he does to his team just makes it that much easier for her to carve through the rest of them. Corin can get a little bit more damage to stick, but thanks to deflect magic, she's not too much of a problem. And Brady just starts healing her. As does the Azura. Even though she can do damage, enough to stop her from dancing, all that means is we don't have to worry about Insis turn. And from here, we should just be able to let Hell stall out the match for us by tanking Ins until we get these Aether pods. Even without Unity Online,
Death is
she's
absolute.
able to punch through Note pretty cleanly.
Lord
We'll
Aster,
start
guide us.
snagging
Leave
Aether
it to me.
pods thanks to Ash's opening skill.
Good morning.
And we'll just move Peony up here to re-enable Unity for... I don't think we ever really need the speed to outspeed the Ins, but it's a nice safety measure. And keep her safe with Fjorm.
It will be done.
Moves up and fights everybody with stats. He just goes after Hell, since
Fool.
Hell isn't going to kill him without distant counter.
It is
Which
done.
just means that Byleth will grab our second pot,
Death
and Hell can close out the match.
Death is absolute.
That was a fun one.
I am death itself.
This match will be a fun one at the end of the week. I wasn't actually expecting to use this Hell team, or really any, when staring down a Catria squad, especially when they're backing her up with some spookier threats like this Brave Alm and a Valentine's Chrom. It's a pretty solid Catria ball setup here, with Hector screening them from any ranged threats thanks to Farsave, and 2 mythics boosting their stats and also helping extend Alm's threat range out to this tile and cover the same range as Note does, and having 2 rallies to help move things forward and enable triangle attacks on potential bait positions like this statue can really help make this team a lot more threatening than it seems at first glance. I am going to need to take a couple of turns here just to test some of these forward traps before we get things going, but it shouldn't be too hard to do. Ash helps a lot with that, letting us just warp up and test this front bolt trap, which is fake, that's fine. Then we can reposition him back out of the way,
Ah, yes.
and have Hell and Milla
I
start
bestow
working on
my
these
blessing.
structures.
Brisk.
And Erica can just pick this pot up for us.
So I vow.
It'll move Raphael over here. Yep. Their threat range doesn't extend beyond this area. It's pretty neatly lined up, so we don't have to worry about their turn 1. And past turn 1, the only thing that should happen is that Aldegon dances Hector. From
What's
here,
your
we're
plan?
going to have Eliud test this second trap, which is real, but it doesn't stop him since he has more health than it can check.
Take my
We'll
hand.
dance him here,
I
then
do not object.
reposition Raphael down to a safe spot,
Let's see
and
now.
have Eliud move all the way down here to a safe spot too.
It will be
We'll have
done.
Milla move over, and
Of
let
course.
Erica jump all the way over here, so that she can cleanse these debuffs off of Hell before we engage next turn. Yep, and dance comes through and nothing else happens. So we'll start by cleansing Hell and getting rid of those menace debuffs. Then we can reposition Erica out of the way and smite Hell forwards, and actually not go in on this turn. I actually forgot that Hell isn't going to get these bonuses from Eliwood since she was debuffed, and Ashe is stealing them instead, so we're going to have to wait another turn. And that just means that we need to make sure that Ashe also ends up soaking this next turn so that we don't have to worry about it. And Hell should get her bonus doubler back. Now that we have our buffs lined up correctly, we should be able to proceed slightly differently than I expected. Hell can still one-shot Catra even through these debuffs. It's a close call, but she manages it. And keeping that health intact is important, since after we dance her, we're going to need her to knock out Alm as well, and she is going to take some damage from him. But once those two are out of the way, we actually limit their threat range quite a bit, and can just reposition Raphael out of the way, and let Hell tank the rest of this. We should actually only end up tanking Hector, Hell, Note, and Chrom, and Eldgun shouldn't bother since he can't do damage to her.
Turn?
Brisk.
Oh, except that he doesn't have anything to dance anymore. That's right.
A token of our thanks.
So we'll probably end up missing one Aether Pot. We can tank Chrom since he doesn't bring Hell to 1 hit point before the combat. That just means that he's not quite going to be able to knock her out. And since there isn't any Fatal Smoke on their team, Hell doesn't have to worry about just casually miracling her way through all of this. Down goes Note, and unfortunately Hector's probably moving in. Oh no! Excellent! Edelgards moves first, and means that we don't end up losing an extra Aether Pot. Probably just because he had one less hit point than Hector, so he moved first.
What's your plan?
That means we should be able to reach this second Aether Pot this turn, since we found the real trap last time.
I bestow my
Just
blessing.
smite Erica forwards,
Of course.
and have her break it,
A good day to die.
and then we'll just let Hell tank Hector and close out the match. Well, it was a little bit more awkward than it should have been, but we made it through in the end.
For Lord Oscar.
This match will be a bit of a slow end to the week, even if we are going to watch Hell tank another Chrom. They've got a pretty basic layout here with just a line of enemy units to handle, protected by some forward traps to help deter any hit and run approaches, a weaponless dancer to avoid her getting baited, and an Edelgard in the corner just to try and stall things out. Even though it is basic, I imagine the Chrom and Pallas can still catch people off guard, as well as this bonus week Claude, especially if you underestimate it just by looking at it and dismissing it for being a simple setup. Chrom can still hit really hard, and Pallas' adaptive damage lets her punch through tanks that might normally be able to shrug her off. And of course, Claude is just Claude, and can be very much a nuisance if you can't outspeed him. Not having this weapon equipped on Mirabilis makes it a lot easier to get into here and just start dealing with stuff, though, since the extra in-combat attack penalties that she can offer her allies can really add up. As is, though, I'm not expecting us to have any problems here. We should actually be able to just get things started right away and move in to close out the match after that. We'll start by just moving Hell in here and
Take my hand.
dancing her forward to move in and snipe this Pallas. She will get to Moonbow us here, but even with that, we should be able to survive the Chrom on the next turn.
Leave this to me.
And he should always attack before his allies, since he's the only one who should be able to drop Hell down to 1 hit point. We'll just move Noah up a tile to provide health with some extra combat
I do
bonuses,
not object. To winter.
and see if I've done this math correctly. Chrom should move into attack first, yep. And while he does a solid amount of damage, he doesn't get the Deadeye on the first swing, and that means that
Let's talk about our feelings.
Hell just gets to Miracle the Deadeye and knock him out on the second hit. And from there it should be pretty straightforward for her. Nothing can actually hit her twice anymore. So she just gets to knock out Note. And Claude. She might not actually get to knock the other Hell out here, since Note attacked first. Oh, nope, never mind. She got danced. Excellent. Which just means that we only have to worry about Mirabilis and the fallen Edelgard in the corner.
A good day
And
to
well,
die.
Mirabilis isn't going to be too hard for Hell to handle, especially without a weapon equipped. And Wings of Mercy means that Raphael can, move in and take out one Aether Pot,
Lord Asker, guide us.
and Ash can grab the second one,
My turn?
and we'll just wait one more turn
Like this.
Of course.
before we leave, or before we let Edelgard actually do something and close out the match. We'll just move Hell in,
This way?
move everybody in behind her to support,
Really? Risk.
It will be done.
and let her attack into Hell and eventually knock herself out.
Death.
The bonfire is spooky at first,
Crumble to ash.
but since Hell has a miracle every combat, she's not really too worried about it. It was honestly a really fun week, even if I deliberately wasn't planning on getting into the top 1000 this week. It was really fun to actually experiment a little and get silly and use Hell on offense instead of defense. To be fair, I don't think many defenses are built with an offense Hell in mind, but it's fun to see her actually do well even without access to null follow-up. Next week we should be getting back to something resembling normalcy though, and be using a proper offense team. But I might do this again sometime in Hell's next bonus week, or maybe for some other units as well. I do have a Discord channel if you'd like to hang out and chat. There's a link in the description, and there's also a Patreon page there if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.